What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the newest episode of the Believe in Oregon podcast, brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. I'm Zachary, Neel. He's Jonathan Stewart. Jay Stu, what's up, man? How we doing?
Good. I'm doing fantastic.
Absolutely.
The weather's like actually perfect here. It's like 80, mid 80s. It's been blazing hot lately, so it's finally nice to have a little bit of a break. We started training camp with middle school football, good. So I'm out there, coaching with Greg and Luke. So it's fun. It's a fun week too. It's a Hall of Fame week. Okay, Hall of Fame practices with these middle school players, getting them ready for the season. But also going to go to Canton, Ohio. My first time to, see Luke become part of a fraternity that is elite.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Be fun.
That's cool. Well, I'm jealous of your weather because the Northwest is currently on fire and it's hazy out and it's going to be in the mid 90s today. And I'm supposed to golf in this smoky, hot weather this afternoon. It's like,
how hot
not
is it
often.
Supposed to be?
And so I think like 96, but with a very bad air quality. And not often do I not want to golf, but today's one of those days where it's like, I kind of don't want to golf in this heat.
Well, I've golfed in 100-degree weather.
Yeah.
So
doesn't surprise me.
You can do it.
I'm sure I can. I'm sure I can.
You could be doing other things.
I could be doing other things. There's a lot of work to be done because the preseason is here. It feels real now. We had Oregon Media Day yesterday. Got a chance to talk to over 30 players ahead of the season. Fall camp starts in about 24 hours for Oregon as we record this. They get practice underway. So it's, the season's here. It's a great feeling. How are you feeling?
Feel good. Feel optimistic. It's good hearing people talk about Oregon in a light that kind of makes sense timeline wise. I guess like 2 years ago, if they were talking about Oregon, how they're talking about Oregon right now, we'd be saying to ourselves, "Hey, let's tread lightly here,
pump the brakes."
But I think we're in a good spot.
I think so too. Yeah, that's how I felt leaving Media Day yesterday. There's like a quiet confidence in this group. And I felt the same way last year too. I don't think it's that different. I think this team is at a spot where we'll talk about this later in our segment, but this team's in a spot where they know they're good enough. They know they're capable of winning it all. They kind of just, every team who wins it needs some bounces to go their way. And so I feel like they, if you hang around the hoop long enough, like you're going to get a chance to score. And I think
just don't cherry pick.
Don't cherry pick. Just kind of be around there and you'll get a chance to put one in. So that's where I think this team is. But last week we broke down what's new with the Ducks, kind of looking at how this roster changed and what fans need to know going into the new season. This week, we are going to broaden the scope a little bit and look at the Big Ten as a whole. You and I did this last year, something we're bringing back. It's our Big Ten tiers. We are going to go through and group all 18 teams in the conference, put them in tiers from best to worst, kind of mapping out, the league, seeing who we think is going to be good, who we think is going to be bad, kind of where the middle teams are. See if we can kind of preview the conference that way. Sound good?
Yeah, sounds great.
Before we get into that, though, I want to talk a little bit more about Media Day from yesterday, just kind of offer up some of the things that I heard that caught my attention, seemed notable. I don't know, were you able to see any of the coverage or, articles, tweets, quotes from yesterday?
Not necessarily. I mean, I know there's different days that the teams went on. So
that was last week. That was Big Ten Media Days. Yesterday was Oregon's Media Day, where there was like 40 Oregon players.
I have not seen that. So
yeah,
bring us up to speed, please.
Yeah, there was some good stuff that came out. One, Dan came out and talked. This has been probably the biggest storyline so far, and a lot of fans are kind of freaking out online. I think wrongfully so. But Lanning was talking about the offensive line and saying that, just like we did with Josh Connerly, just like we did with Poncho and JPJ, like we're probably going to rotate in some of these young guys, and we could be using up to, 6 to 8 different offensive linemen early on in the year as they find their roles. There's been kind of freaking out on social media because fans are like, oh, they're going to rotate 6 to 8 offensive line. That means they don't have 5 good offensive linemen. They're struggling. They can't, like, as fans are always want to do early in the season, freak out a little bit. So when you hear that, what do you think?
I mean, it's what we talked about last week, right?
It's what they've
You
done
know,
every year.
I mean, and it's a given, right? I
Yeah.
think, the offensive line coach, first of all, has done a fantastic job since we brought him in 23, right?
Yep.
And so the proof has been in the pudding. He knows what he's doing. And Dan Lanning has trust in that development process.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and if you have guys that can play, you bring them into play.
Yep.
You're not necessarily, especially if you're a 5-star recruit. We have several of those on our roster. So, the expectation is, to develop you, but if you can play, you're going to play.
Mm-hmm.
And if that means that we're not bringing in, you know, older guys to supplement, the younger guys, that means the younger guys are good enough in, the guys that are, the scouts, the recruiters, the head coach that evaluates the talent and says, hey, this guy's actually good enough to play, to start this year. So we're good. We'll spend our money and our time elsewhere. So that's what happened. So as fans, you have to trust that process and you have to put your trust in the coaching staff instead of being, Twitter fingers all the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Voicing your opinions. You ain't getting paid.
Yeah.
Let the guys that get paid make the decisions and you wait and see.
You said earlier, I mean, the proof is in the pudding. This is a coaching staff, and particularly an offensive line coaching staff, that has done this the past 3 years and has produced 3 straight Joe Moore Award finalists. And they've allowed the lowest sack rate in the nation during that time. Like, they know that they have the talent early on in the year. They are going to rotate and try and find who the best guys are. And even with guys like Poncho and JPJ and Connolly, they got him in there. They developed packages and personnel groups that got them on the field to get that development early on. They're going to do that this year with guys like Tofi and Nacho. So anyone freaking out about this, I understand the headline is rotating 6 to 8 guys. You don't want to see that. You want to see 5 guys and play your best 5. But Oregon has more than 5 great players. They're going to get them on the field and they're going to do it the right way. So I think this is kind of a non-story, but it's one of those things that fans have glommed onto early on in the media cycle.
Yeah, totally get it.
All right. Go ahead.
Yeah, so let's get to this, man. I'm excited to hear your tiers.
My tiers. All right. Yeah, we can get right into the tiers. Again, yours and my groups will be different. This is a grouping of how we see the talent in the conference, not necessarily a ranking of the teams, just kind of the groups we see them in. I'll lead us off because I have a feeling that our top tier will be the same or pretty similar. My top tier is 3 teams. I've got Oregon, Ohio State, and Indiana. I call this the one bounce away tier, kind of just like I was saying earlier. Like, these teams are all good enough to win the championship. They have the talent. They've got the coaching. Sometimes need the ball to bounce the right way. It didn't happen for Oregon last year. Happened for Indiana last year. That's not to say it could be any different this year. Like, I think these teams have themselves in a position each year right now to win the championship. They just kind of need a little bit of luck along the way, whether it's injury luck or in-game luck. So that's my top tier. What do you have for yours?
My first top tier is flying first class, right?
Okay.
So only thing that can mess this up is a weather delay. All right. Okay. Only thing that can mess up a first class ticket is weather delay. And I have the same. I have Ohio State, Oregon, and Indiana. And obviously, a lot of people think the same way as far as Oregon being ahead of Indiana. I know last year, Indiana got us twice, and rightfully so. They were just a way better team than everybody last year. So they have Signetti coming back, and he's going to do his thing as far as what he offers as a head coach. But they're missing the Heisman candidate, the Heisman winner. They're missing a lot of the veteran guys that were on that team, especially on defense. So you do have to put them at a out of respect in that top tier, but they still have to prove something this year because they're missing a lot of guys from last year.
I'm very curious to hear what your second tier is because this where I think the top tier is easy. It's those three clear cut, and then I think you've got some distance between whatever the second tier is. So, what do you have for yours?
So this is the standby list. Okay.
Okay,
This is the folks
I sense a
that,
theme.
yeah, taking flight, baby. All
Yeah, you're
right.
traveling, huh?
Traveling. So I got Michigan, USC,
Mhm.
Washington, Penn State, and Iowa.
Okay.
Okay. Um, I think, these are teams that are literally one play away,
Hmm.
in my opinion. And also too, these are teams that have a lot of different, variables of change. Coaching staff, head coach, and all those types of things. It'd be interesting to see kind of how everything kind of forms over time. Like
Mhm.
last year, getting your bearings. I look at USC. What are we doing?
Mhm.
Are are we getting back to the basic? Are we getting back to the old ways? Or are you creating a new lane? Right?
Mhm.
Because I feel like a lot of times USC and just the fans, they operate from a place of adopting, you know, the Reggie Bush and the Matt Leinart and Lindell White, that era, right?
Mhm.
It's time to grow up. You can't adopt that anymore. You have to at some point create your own lane.
Mhm.
Which you look at Oregon, it would be the same as riding the coattails of Michael James and Marcus Mariota.
Yourself.
What I'm saying? Like, just get yourself into um, a new wave here
Mhm.
and find out who you are. And I think they've just been kind of lackluster on defense, and they show up on offense sometimes. And then obviously, Michigan's got a good running back. Like,
Mhm.
there ain't been a lot of talk about the running game being a focal point, in the Big Ten, but I think you're going to see some guys rise from the ashes in the Big Ten as far as runners. Going back to Tier One, Ohio State. I got a Bo Jackson. It ain't the
Mhm.
original Bo Jackson, but it's a Bo Jackson for a
Mhm.
reason.
Still good.
He's pretty good. So I don't know. I think they're a playmaker away from being contenders.
I was gonna say you said a player away. Is that a player away from being a championship team, a playoff team? What do you
I
think?
think
What's that?
they are players away of knocking that first class team
Okay, I
out.
see.
You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Like
being
if
in that group. Yeah,
being
being
in
up
that
there.
group, being
Okay.
amongst that group. Yeah.
I had the same 5 teams next, but I broke them into 2 tiers. I have
Okay.
my second tier is if everything goes perfect, maybe, and that's USC, Michigan, Iowa, and Penn State I put in there. Then
Yeah.
I have a tier below of Washington that's just be happy with 9 wins.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to get in the playoff. If they got to 8 or 9 wins, I think that's a success for them this year. I want to specify this year. I think they can be good in the future. We've seen Washington be good in the past. I just don't think it's this year. I was close to, if in a vacuum, I would put Penn State and Washington in the same tier. But when you look at Penn State's schedule this year, that's what puts me up one more
Yeah.
tier. They miss Oregon, they miss Indiana, they miss Ohio State. They get a lot of their tough teams, what tough teams are left at home. I know they have to go on the road to Washington, but they get USC at home. They've got, I think, the best schedule in the conference. So I put them up in tier 2, but I think that they're real close with Washington in tier 3. Um,
Yeah. I got Washington at 8-win team.
yeah, I think that's fair. I think, yeah,
Yeah.
they've got talent. They lost a lot from last year. There's just kind of weird vibes with them this entire offseason. I don't really know
Yeah.
how
Michigan's
good they can
problem
be.
Michigan's problem, we talk about returners, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
their defense is only returning 3 guys.
Yeah.
So offensively, they'll be fine. But defensively, I don't know. I don't know
Well,
anything about
they've got a brutal schedule too. They
them. Yeah.
host Oklahoma earlier in the year. They got to host Penn State and Indiana and Iowa. They go on the road to Oregon and Ohio State this year. Like
Yeah.
they could be one of the better teams in the conference. I truly believe that with 4 losses. Like they
Hmm.
could really, I think in a vacuum, they could be one of the best teams, one of the most talented, one of the most well coached teams. I still think they could lose some games because they've got a really brutal schedule.
Yeah. Totally.
Who did we not talk about in that? We didn't really talk about Iowa too much. They're just always a tough team to
Yeah.
kind of
If
pick
they figure
apart.
out how to be any way capable of scoring some points, they'll
That's
be
the
a really
case
good
every
team.
year. We say that every single season. They've got a quarterback battle this year between Hank Brown and Jeremy Aklinski. I think they've got a new, is it a new offensive coordinator too this year? And the schedule is semi difficult. Like I don't know, man. It's Iowa. They'll get to 9 wins. I feel comfortable about that. Whether they get
Yeah.
to 10 or 11, we'll see. But they'll always be around the hoop.
Yeah, they'll always be the team that can knock one of those top 2 tiers
Exactly.
around a little bit, and
Hmm.
like you talk about this is the group that can contend with a heavyweight boxer, right?
Hmm. They did it with Oregon
And
last year.
and give them a run for their money, give the fans, a little bit of a heart attack at some point during the season,
Hmm.
and and very much so be able to come out on the other side,
Hmm.
right? And so Iowa is always going to be, especially with their retention, right? They
Hmm.
return, the same staff, and they're always fundamentally sound on defense.
I think I saw a stat that they have the fewest returning defensive snaps of any Power Four team this year. So
Mm,
that's one thing. Like they do rely on their defense, but this year it's like, okay, you got a lot of new guys. I think they had a program record 7 guys drafted. Like
mm,
there's some turnover this year. So,
yeah,
trust Kirk Ferentz and what he's done for the past 70
yeah.
years there. But like I don't know, this could be an interesting season for
It
Iowa.
could be his last year coaching, or it could be an extension.
Exactly. Could be either way. All right, what is your next tier? I think this is your third one.
So my third tier is, we on the plane, but there is some turbulence. You know what I'm saying? We made the flight.
Uh-huh.
We made the flight, and we are showing up on Saturdays, but it's turbulent.
It was a bumpy ride.
Bumpy ride. We got Illinois,
Hmm.
Nebraska,
Hmm.
Minnesota, and UCLA.
Okay.
Um, and I feel like Illinois is that they're an interesting team.
Always.
They but they have a new quarterback transfer,
Hmm.
Eastern Carolina.
Hmm.
Um, you know, I feel like they have some rebuilding going on around that whole situation there. Um, so that's TBD.
Hmm.
Um, and then Nebraska, you know, Matt Rule, piss or get off the pot, baby.
Yeah.
This is one of
Just
them
sign an
years.
extension. Let's
It's
see
one.
what you can do with it.
It's one of them years now. Like,
Uh-huh.
obviously, Nebraska loves him, and what he has to offer for that locker room and that organization. So, it'll just be interesting to see kind of, can they take that next step? Are
Hmm.
you losing to teams like UCLA like last year? Right?
Yeah.
Can't have that. And then Minnesota. I feel like this is probably one of the more intact, staffs
It is. Yeah.
in all of college football. So, the consistency there, I think, as far as your roster, there's a sense of, awareness that, you're going into a season knowing what, you're familiar, right?
Hmm.
And I feel like if you have a team that's familiar with the program, familiar with the staff, you can either get lulled to sleep, or it's actual comfort because you have a staff that knows what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously they're there for a reason. And I think they're a team that can be consistent. And so they can be able to withstand the turbulence, right?
Uh-huh.
And be a team where, again, kind of being able to match the same energy as the lower portion of that tier 2, right?
Who else did you have in that tier? Or was that all of them?
UCLA,
UCLA. Okay, tell me about them.
man, TBD.
Yeah, right.
TBD. They last year they kind of came on strong. They had a little coaching change, and they obviously got a new head coach, JMU head
Disney.
coach, comes in and we'll see what he can do. I mean, he took a team last year to be a Cinderella
Mm-hmm.
opponent for
Brought him to Austin.
Oregon, right down there in Autzen.
Yeah.
And then find himself, a coaching job in UCLA in LA. And so, it'll be interesting to see if that type of energy can transition UCLA into a winning program. Are the boosters getting behind this guy? Are they
Mm-hmm.
getting money, getting better players in, and just a different type of energy?
Yeah, I'm not the only one, but I'm high on UCLA this year. I
Yeah.
believe what Bob Chesney can do. I'm excited to see what they can do because they've got Nico, who is a very talented quarterback as well, and they've got some
Mm-hmm.
players there. My tier, this is my tier 4, but I'm the next one down. I had all of the same teams. I added Wisconsin in there, so I've got Wisconsin, Illinois, UCLA, Nebraska, and Minnesota. I'm calling it my invitation to be a serious program tier. Like all of
Invitation.
these got invitation, like you got a chance. Like starting with Wisconsin, like you're saying you're putting a bunch more money into the program. You got boosters. You give Luke Fickle another year or two to let him get this thing going. Here's a chance.
Yeah.
Let's see it. Here's an invitation to be one of the better teams in the Big Ten. Same with Illinois. I feel like they've kind of been dancing around there for a while. That Bielema, I think, is a really good coach. They had Luke Altmaier. Let's see what they can do with Caden Hauser this year. Um, I don't know. They're always talked about in that middle of the Big Ten tier. Let's see if they can group up a little bit. UCLA, we talked about. Nebraska, you mentioned with Matt Rule. Like Nebraska's kind of right there with Illinois in my mind. Like
Yeah.
I think and Minnesota, like they're hovering around the number 8 to 11 spot in the conference year after year. We're kind of waiting for them to do something, and they just never really seem to do it. So here's my open invitation. I want to see there may be one spot up there in the tier 2 or tier 3. Who's going to grab it? Someone
Yeah.
come get it. Someone stop, like you said, piss or get off the pot. Like let's
Yeah.
see you do something and try to take advantage of this opportunity.
Yeah, just as long as none of those teams actually do anything against Oregon, because 3 of those 4 teams
Yeah.
play Oregon. I think about that Illinois game.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows?
See, yeah, they've
Right,
they've got talent,
late
but we'll
October.
yeah,
Just the timing, and hopefully we're healthy and we don't go
yeah.
into that thing limping. But yeah.
Your next one.
Okay. Tier number 4,
Mm-hmm.
we have grounded. Right, when you're on the plane and you're just not taking off,
just
you're
waiting
just
on the
out
tarmac.
there on the tarmac. Just hey, there's a little weather delay. And it's
Uh-huh.
even worse if you the guy that falls asleep on the plane,
Mm,
right? And you're like,
that's
oh,
not
I'm gonna
me.
go
I
sleep.
know
And
that's
you
you.
wake up, you're gonna
Still
wake
haven't
up and
left.
you're still on the ground. Like, we ain't take off yet? Yeah, man, you been asleep. You sleeping
They're still de-icing the wings.
Yeah, it's cold, right? And we have Wisconsin,
Mhm.
Northwestern, and Maryland.
Okay.
I think you probably got some hot seats, at least in this
Definitely.
in this category.
Yeah.
Wisconsin can't score a lick, can't score points. They just don't.
Yeah.
With 12.8 points a game.
Oof.
12.8.
Yeah, that's not a lot.
That's terrible. Golly.
You're not gonna win many games like that.
That's like a baseball baseball outscoring you.
Yeah.
But Northwestern, they got a new stadium, new energy. Chip Kelly coming in town. will he be able to do anything, or is he just going to be relaxing in a nice stadium?
Mhm.
I think they do have a transfer, so they
Mhm.
do have a real quarterback this year.
Yeah, Aiden Childs, yeah.
Um, yeah, I think Chip wouldn't go to Northwestern just to be hanging out all the way. There has to be some type of product out there that he can use to his offensive genius. So, yeah, man, I think, and then Maryland, they were 2-16
Yeah.
last year.
Yeah. If they're really good in September.
Everyone
Really
is.
good in September. Yeah. I have the pretty much the same group. I had Wisconsin up ahead. But this
Look
is
at us.
my intriguing but not yet tier. Like Northwestern, Michigan State, and Maryland for me. I think there's a chance they could be decent or fun, but not this year. It's
Yeah,
too new. Northwestern, like you said, the Chip Kelly thing intrigues me. Aiden
yeah.
Childs, I think, is a
Because he gets to
talented
come back to
player.
Oregon. That's the only intriguing part.
On Halloween too. That'll be fun.
Halloween.
On Halloween. Yeah, like
Be
I'm just
interesting to see what kind of jerseys we bring out for that, huh?
ooh, we just gotta do the throwback for Fright Night against USC. That'd be good with
Yeah.
Chip Kelly back. Um, yeah, Northwestern I think could be fun, but I don't expect them to be good. Michigan State, we'll see what Pat Fitzgerald can do. I think he was a solid coach at Northwestern. Obviously, his time didn't end well there. Taking over a new program that is a storied program and has history.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a playoff team in the past. So, and then Maryland, you got Malik Washington, the sophomore quarterback, who was very good last year on a not good team. But if you're talking about, like you said, hot seats, there's no one on a hotter seat than Mike Locksley at Maryland because he just keeps figuring out how to stay there somehow, despite not winning anything. So I'm intrigued by those teams, but I don't expect them to do anything. I'm kind of curious how good they can be this year and how close they can be to getting up a tier next year.
Yeah.
All right, your final one.
The hangar.
In the hangar. Yep.
In the
Just
hangar.
put it
Getting
away.
worked on. Under construction. Plane broken.
Yep.
Okay. Wings fell apart.
Uh-huh.
Luggage.
Do not board.
And there's luggage on the plane. So people still
Uh-huh.
trying to figure out where their luggage is. And the luggage is on the plane and
Uh-huh.
in the tarmac, man.
Yeah.
Or on the in the hangar. Um, I have Rutgers, Michigan State, and Purdue.
Yep.
Boo boo.
That's it.
They
Yeah.
ain't really much. Like when you're a defense and you're giving up 36 points a game, that's a lot of work. You gotta overcome a lot,
Yeah.
and you ain't scoring no points.
Yeah.
Gotta figure it out.
No, those teams are they're bad.
Yeah, man. You over here. It's like we gotta give you a diaper, right? Because you just running,
Yeah.
right? Just just loose with it. But defense terrible. Rutgers. I think Pat Fitzgerald. That could be interesting. I
We'll
think
see.
Michigan
Yeah.
State is set up to be a very good trap game situation for some teams like Oregon.
Oregon.
Um, and 30 transfers, anything can happen,
Mm-hmm.
right? Obviously it screams rebuild, but you might have at least hopefully 5 guys that stand out amongst 30 that can
Mm-hmm.
actually contribute to your new beginnings as a coach, right, on a team. So I think Michigan State out of these 3 teams, Purdue obviously 3-21 over the last 2 years, they stink. And so if you're a college kid and you're thinking to yourself, man, I gotta go to Purdue, all
Yeah.
right, I guess I'll go. And if you're
Mm-hmm.
one of those guys, then that means you stink.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it. Yeah, that's why you mentioned the Michigan State. That's why I had them up a tier because the rebuild possibility under a decent head coach I think is intriguing. But my bottom tier is just another year at the bottom. It's Purdue,
Yeah.
it's Rutgers for me. Like I think those were the 2 in my bottom tier last year. They were the 2 in your bottom tier last year. Like just wash, rinse, repeat. Like we'll see what they can do at some point if they can move up or be a serious program. But right now it's not happening, and I don't see that changing anytime soon.
Yeah. And something crazy, like, there's 4 new head coaches, right? So
Hmm.
Michigan, Penn State, Michigan State, UCLA. And these coaches are actually good coaches,
Yeah.
right? I mean, obviously, because they got the job.
Hmm.
So they're coming from winning programs. It'll be interesting to see kind of what they have to offer. Like for, um, which coach was that? The Michigan State coach, right?
Pat Fitzgerald. Yeah.
Um, Fitzgerald bringing in 30 transfers. Like, is that part of your strategy? Like, will that work?
Hmm.
Are you trying to be Signetti here?
Exactly.
Like it would just be interesting to see kind of how things turn over because when Signetti came to Indiana, and nobody was thinking about Indiana,
Mm-mm.
right? We was thinking Indiana was poo poo,
That was the
right?
worst team in college football history.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and just in history, period. They
Yeah.
wasn't a football team. They was just a basketball team.
Uh-huh.
So, it'll be interesting to see what these 4 coaches do um, with this season coming up. Will they be able to be the next Indiana, right?
Hmm. Yeah, I think that everyone's trying to be. We'll see. That's why I mean, UCLA is probably the closest in my mind just because they have a fertile recruiting ground, a coach who, I mean, obviously it's not hard to draw the comparisons between Chesney and Signetti. They both came from JMU. They both moved up, and I just don't know if he's going to find that instant success like Signetti did.
Yeah.
Saying that someone is going to is that's kind of not giving Signetti enough credit because I think he is a truly fantastic coach and was able to do what he did at Indiana. But we'll see. It for sure will be an interesting year in the Big Ten. It feels very top heavy, obviously, with those top 3 teams, but there's some guys in the middle in that second, third tier that may be able to make some noise.
Yeah.
All right, so just to run through it, my tiers, just to recap, I had top tier, a bounce away. That's Oregon, Ohio State, and Indiana. Second tier, if everything goes perfect, maybe. That's USC, Michigan, Iowa, and Penn State. Third tier, be happy with 9 wins. That's Washington. Fourth tier, an invitation to be a serious program. That's Wisconsin, Illinois, UCLA, Nebraska, and Minnesota. Fifth tier, intriguing, but not yet. Northwestern, Michigan State, Maryland. And final tier, another year at the bottom, Purdue and Rutgers. Run through your tiers for me.
All right. Got first class Ohio State, Oregon, Indiana. Got standby list Michigan, USC, Washington, Penn State, Iowa. I got Turbulence because the plane is bad weather up there, man. Bad pilot and everything. Got too many heavy people on the plane. Um, you got Illinois, Nebraska, Minnesota, UCLA, and then you got grounded, which means you just sitting on the ground not doing nothing with yourself. Wisconsin, Northwestern, Maryland, and then we got the airport hangar, right? The
Mm-hmm.
planes that are broken, and those are Rutgers, Michigan State, and Purdue.
Okay. Yeah, that's not where you want to be.
You don't want to be in a hangar, man. You want to be out there flying.
Yeah, out there flying. You
At
want to be
least
first
getting on
class.
the plane, at least standing in the line, right?
Yeah, anywhere but in the hangar.
And you don't want your luggage in the
Uh-uh.
hangar.
Uh-uh.
You ain't getting
That's
it
not
back.
it.
Not
That's
anytime
not it.
soon. Especially if you got golf clubs on there.
That's true.
Mhm.
All right. Well, that was good stuff. You got anything for Cleats Off this week? I don't have much other than the fact that I'm tired. I've worked more in the past, I think, 48 hours than I did like the previous 4 months. So
Yeah.
I'm
It's
feeling
that.
tired. I'm feeling fulfilled because I freaking love my job and I'm beyond thrilled that college football is back. But um, every year, it's like when August rolls around, media day rolls around, it's like, oh man, this is a lot of work after not doing a lot of work for a few months. So it kind of just hits you
Yeah.
as a shock for a sec, but it's the best. I love it. I'm happy.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, I feel like I'm entering a season of clarity.
Oh, do
Yeah,
tell.
so just being retired,
Hmm.
you are a sponge for a good minute, right?
Hmm.
You're learning things like, oh, that's what that is. That's a job, or just I've gotten myself into this business, lane, I do a little private equity stuff and whatnot, and just learning about different businesses, companies, and just digesting a lot of information.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm entering a season of clarity about all that a little bit. So that's been fun, having a process, obviously being a dad and a husband and just all the things. Golf, I broke 80. So like there's
Mm-hmm.
just a lot of things that are happening that are starting to just click.
Nice.
And then even with, doing the podcast and everything like that, hopefully, the listeners are listening to growth on the podcast as well, right? So getting better at being able to relay what I'm wanting to talk about to you
Mm-hmm.
guys, so that way you understand from a guy that's just sitting in your living room. That's basically how I want this thing to feel like and be like.
Mm-hmm. It's for sure gotten better, man. I was doing some research a couple weeks ago, and I went and listened to one of our first episodes together. It's like, that's it's a little rough, and it's not
Yeah,
even just like the chemistry between you and I. Obviously, has gotten
yeah.
much better, as it would with anyone who's talked to each other for probably 1,000 hours now.
Hmm.
Um, and just like we're better at this. We know what we're doing.
Yeah, you know
We're
what you're talking about, but you just got to figure out how to say it in a
exactly,
way
and
that is
yeah.
you and that's relatable and that's not too much. So, yeah.
And there used to be, I mean, when we were going early on, you and I did this thing where one of us would talk for 5 minutes straight, and then the other one would talk for 5 minutes straight. And it's just like it wasn't conversational. And now
Nah.
we've gotten comfortable with each other to where it's like, all
Yeah.
right, we can go back and forth, we can interrupt each other, and we can kind of jut in and say what we need to say, and it's much better. So that was fun just to kind of listen to that one of those first ones. Like, wow,
Mm.
this is much different, much better. We're learning how to do this thing.
Yeah, man. So good job and thanks for helping me along the way.
Thank you as well. You give me a lot to talk about, that's for sure. All right, let's wrap it up there. Like I said up top, we are back into our weekly schedule. We're gonna have fresh preseason content for you guys every week now until the season, when we will go to 2 times a week once the games get here. We'll be back up with a good one next week. We've got our "Which Bet Would You Rather Make" segment coming. So, kind of like a "Would You Rather," but with betting odds from our proud presenting sponsor at FanDuel. So, that's going to be a good one. You got anything else to add before we get out of here?
um Hall of Fame.
Hall of Fame.
Tune
That should
in.
be fun, man.
Tune in to Luke's speech. I think it's going to be incredible. I'm
Hmm.
super excited to just be involved and just celebrate him this weekend.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a high honor. Something not to be taken lightly, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
All right. You can check out more of my work at ducksfire.usatoday.com. Follow me at Zachary C. Neel on Twitter. Follow Jay Stew on Twitter at Jonathan Stew R1. And go ahead and follow Tea Time Stew as well. Get out
Oh
there.
yeah,
I know
yeah.
he's out there.
That's the main one to follow. Yeah.
Well, this is the main one to follow.
Go
But
go
that's the main
golf.
one.
Go
Yeah.
golf.
I'll be out in the hot, smoky weather golfing later today. We'll see. Hopefully I don't
If you
keel
get a
over.
hole in one today, I'll give you $1,000
Okay, I'll hold you to that.
to bet on FanDuel.
Okay, yeah. I'll hold you to that. That sounds good. For myself, Zach Neel, for my co-host, Jonathan Stewart, we'll talk to you guys next week. Until then, take it easy.